Hi everyone and welcome to another video. In this video we are going to do web scraping using Bash. For this I'm going to use git bash to test the commands on the Bash terminal. I'm also going to use Sublime for coding, which is a text editor, and the web page is a web application that we can enter the name of the author and search for quotes. The web application will give us all the quotes from that specific author. And so we are going to scrape this web page in order to extract all the quotes. And so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to head into Sublime, and I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to save the file as, and the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to enter the shebang, followed by the path to the Bash interpreter. Then I'm going to enter a comment that says web scraping quotes website. And if we go back to the web page, notice something that when we enter the name of the author and we submit the page, we are getting the parameters displayed in the address bar. The parameters in this case is the name of the parameter is author, and it is set to the name of the author separated by a plus sign. So there is a utility in Bash called curl that allows us to interact with the web from the Bash. So for example, if we do curl and then we pass the URL to that specific web page, I'm going to copy it from here. If we use curl and we pass the URL to that specific web page and we press enter, notice that we get the web page displayed in our terminal, and this is what we want. So we're going to use curl in our script to pull the information from that web page, and we can do the same thing instead of nran. We can recall the command, but in this case we're going to say, is it Frederick Nietzsche or Friedrich Nietzsche? I don't remember. Let's see. Friedrich Nietzsche. Okay, so let me get it from here. And if we press enter, notice now that we get the quotes from Friedrich Nietzsche. One thing about web scraping is that, for example, if I right click in, click view page source, web scraping is about finding patterns. For example, notice that since what we're looking here are the quotes start right here, right after this class quote list div. And then we get a row, then we get another div, and then we get a p tag, and then after the p tag, we start getting our quotes. Okay, and notice also that the author is separated by a break tag, and then we get the next p tag. We close the p tag, and we close the div, and then we repeat all the same divs, and then the next quote comes after the p tag. So it is safe to say that all the quotes come after a p tag. So let's get started with the script. The first thing I want to check is for the existence of parameter being passed into my script, because I want to be able to pass the name of the author into my script. So I'm going to say numbers of parameters not equals 1. Then echo, let's say we're going to echo how to use the program. So I'm going to say usage, base name, 0. This is command substitution that is going to give me the name of the script, and then followed by author name, surrounded by single quotes. And then I'm going to exit the program, and here I'm going to close the if statement. So that's for checking for parameter. The next thing that I want to do, I want to be able to find the path to the curl executable. So I'm going to use command substitution. I'm going to say which curl, and that is going to assign the path to that utility to the curl variable. Also, I want to create an output file variable, and I'm going to name it output.text. And you'll see why in a minute. I also want to get the name the name of the author that is being passed into the script and assign it to a variable. So I'm going to use also command substitution, and I'm going to say echo $1, and I'm going to pipe that into translate, and I want to substitute any spaces in between the first and the second, between the first name and last name, and substitute that by a plus sign. If we go back into our web application, notice that between first name and last name there is a plus sign. So that is part of the application. And then finally, I'm going to create a variable called URL, and that is going to contain the URL to be submitted. And I'm going to get that from here. All the way to the equal sign. I'm going to paste it. And I am going to include here name, which is this variable here, which is the author. And that's for my variables. Next, I'm going to create a comment here that says dump web page. And I'm going to create a function that is called dump web page. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to use curl and submit the URL and dump it into the output.txt file. So everything, always test everything on batch. For example, you can do curl, then followed by the URL, and I'm going to use -o to dump it into, let's say, output.txt. And I'm going to press enter. So now if I cat output.txt, it contains the content of the web page. And after I tested the command, in this case I'm not going to copy, since it will be too hard coding the command in batch, and that's not what I want. So I want to use my variables. I'm going to say curl output, then output out file, and URL. And I want to create another function, since I want to check whether or not I'm getting an error. I'm going to call it checking for errors, and the name of the function will be check errors. And I'm going to use a test expression, and what I want to do here is test for the exit status. So the exit status is, if the exit status is not equal 0, which means that it executed with some sort of error, I'm going to say error downloading page. And after that, I'm going to exit the application. So here I'm going to say check errors. And the next function that the next step that I want to do is to clean the web page. And I'm going to create another function, and I'm going to call it strip HTML. If we, for example, if we go into batch and we look at the parse, at the output of the output file, we notice that, like we said before, that most of the quotes are inside the p tag. So we can use pipe to, let's say, grep only for p tags. Okay, so maybe we need to put it inside quotes, and there we go. That was a problem. I needed to put it inside quotes, otherwise interpreting as probably as regular expression. So notice that in this case, I'm not getting anything on the page except all the lines that contain p tag. So that was a quick way to clean the page for all other code that is not what we're looking for. So I'm going to use that exact command inside my application, inside my script. So I'm going to say grep p tag out of the out file, and then I'm going to use sed, and I'm going to extract all the HTML tag from the file, which I have the code here. Again, you want to make sure that something works. You might want to test it. Okay, so basically this sed, what it's doing is eliminating all the HTML tags. Notice now that I only have the code, the quotes in plain text. So we have successfully, with 3 commands, we have successfully parsed our information. So I'm going to copy that command and I'm going to place it into my script. I'm going to pipe this into temp.txt, and I'm going to copy temp.txt to alpha. So I'm only left with only one file. And next, I want to, since the content of the file is not delimited, it's all in one big paragraph, I want to put every single quote in a single line, so it is easier to use later for manipulating the content of the file in batch. I hope I can explain myself. Anyways, I'm going to use sed again in I to edit the file in place. And I'm going to create another variable here called regex, which is really not a regex. Basically, what I'm getting this variable is to specify the author, so I can find the delimiter between the quotes. Notice that we have a quote and then we have the author in between quotes. So that's going to be my delimiter. And it will be $1 since it's the parameter passing to the script. Then I'm going to use it here. And I'm going to substitute that for a new line. And of course, the output file. So that is the second function. The third function, it will be to just for a proof of concept, but it doesn't have to be a loop. You don't have to loop through the file, but usually since you want to manipulate the content of the file, it would involve some sort of loop. So I'm going to create a function that is going to loop through content of file. Say get quotes, or actually print quotes, and with echo all quotes, and I'm going to say while read quote do echo quote and then done. And I'm going to redirect the output of the out file into the quotes. I'm going to save the script somewhere down here. I'm going to create my main section. And I'm going to call the dump web page function. Then I'm going to call strip HTML, and then I'm going to call print quotes. And somewhere here I'm going to say end. Save the file. Let's go back into batch. And if all the commands that we tested work as expected, we should have the file working. So I'm going to say shemot plus x web scrape.sh, make it executable, and now I'm going to execute the script. I'm going to debug it. So I'm going to say batch, and I believe is x, and I'm going to pass the author as and ran. Press enter, and it didn't work as expected. Okay, so now it works. Basically, what I was missing is that on the strip HTML function, instead of redirecting the output of the set command, I was editing the file in place because I was using the I option, and instead of redirecting it to the to text to temp.txt, I was actually editing the output file in place, and that's not what I wanted. As soon as I removed the I command, it worked. So we got all the quotes printed to the screen. We can still make the script better by getting rid of this output, which is the output of the curl command. So we can say ampersand, which is going to redirect both output and error to depth null. Save the file, go back, and now we only have the quotes. We can, instead of Ayn Rand, we can pass, let's say, free. Okay, and that works too. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video. I believe that working with Batch is fun. Usually can do many fun projects using Batch. And as always, remember to subscribe, and see you in the next video.